Thank you for tuning in to episode 26 of the Construction DorkCast. In this episode, we decided to sit down and share a few of the technologies that get our geek juices flowing. Listen in as we have a nerdy version of show and tell. And yes, we know we're getting erratic with our schedule again, but we promise we'll get back to regular releases. Maybe.
Great to see you. Yeah, we're that kind of podcast. We call out our fans.
Sal's there and DJ's there too.
Sal's there, DJ's there. They're rolling in.
Awesome.
All right. So this is episode 26 of the Construction Dorks Tech and Tell. That's right. We're going back to those old days that you all loved so much of show and tell when you were a kid. That's right. When you brought your favorite thing to show in front of a bunch of people and then wondered why they all wanted to take it and then why you lost it. So no, this is a great one. I think it's going to be a really fun one. We really wanted to go back and just get our dork on. And get our dork on about the things that we're dorking out. So if you came here to hear about construction tech, you might hear about some construction tech. You might hear about some other things. You never, ever know.
Whoa, Jeff.
Speaking of hearing about other things, yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. What's up?
I made it around the sun one more time. That's right. DJ Phipps. So it was my birthday yesterday. So I did go out and celebrate with a cool ride. If you guys want, I'll share it out later on. I use this cool app called Relive, which that should be my tech and tell today, because I believe it's actually what it's what Atlas from Bluebeam is kind of supposed to be someday. It's like this thing where I start my watch when I leave and I take pictures from places and it attaches to my phone. And at the end of the ride, it builds a video of the whole ride and grabs the pictures and pops them up. And it shows the highest points and the fastest points and all this cool stuff.
Oh, cool.
So whatever it is, that's what it was supposed to be. I think someday we will get there. It will be like Relive the job site. Just my little.
Nice.
But yes, I made it around the globe, the sun one more time.
Is that your tech and tell?
No, it is not.
Oh, okay. All right.
No. So my drink for today, I'm actually leaving to go camping as part of my birthday, taking tomorrow off, going down to the desert. So I'm drinking a Zip Fizz here so that I can do some night riding tonight. By the way, cool tip. If you've never done it, it is wicked fun to put big thousands of lumens on your bike and your head and go out and ride at night. Because first of all, the trail gets really crazy, but also there's eyes everywhere. You didn't know we're there.
Do we have to call you Night Rider when you do that? Or?
Yep, and it has to go.
Well done.
Whoosh, whoosh.
Well done.
Oh man, that's so great. So I'm drinking Zip Fizz. Sorry for that. I'll be having a little bourbon later on tonight at the campsite. You know, it always goes good with campfire. So I have to go to you, Travis, because that show and tell background is awesome.
Thank you. It's what a little bit of internet searching will get you. So I'm also on the non-alcoholic train. I have to go coach 12-year-old softball after this, and they frown upon their coaches showing up drunk. So just sitting in the office and drinking some water. Nice and easy today.
Awesome. Never mind. I'm not going to bring it up. Yeah, you can ask Travis later. Jonathan, what's up, man? What you got? Is anybody? Did we go too early today?
No, dude, I'll drink. Yes, I don't know what you're thinking. I'll make up for you. I will drink. I'm doing an Ardbeg 10.
Oh,
which is a single malt Scotch, and I'm going out to my forge afterwards. I have to put out a bunch of little hooks and pieces for a buddy. So I'm going to go light a big fire and work with hot metal after a dram. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I'll try to stick to one drink.
Safety third.
Yeah, right on.
For those of you who don't know, like Jonathan is one of the coolest dudes, and all of his side projects and side things, the pictures we get every weekend. I never know if I'm going to get a new knife picture, a forging picture, or some form of like strange game meat over a cool fire.
Exactly. Yeah. Oddball meat on a campfire.
He's like, truly, you are this. We got to give you a nickname in here. You are Construction Tech's most interesting man.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever been asked to make. So I have a friend who makes little models of people, and he's like, I need a sword, but I need it to be Damascus. So like there's no way that the camera's going to get it, but this is like 60 layer Damascus sword that's the size of your finger. And it's like super razor sharp too. It's like,
Nice.
that was my
God.
side project this week. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
I think you should
See?
skewer some olives on that and put it in a drink.
Exactly.
I want to put the cherries in it for my old fashioned.
There you go.
You don't want to get it cut in your throat though. You know,
True.
I mean, that's like,
It is the one that was
that's
like,
a bad
Right.
day.
how'd you cut your tongue in half? As the Jonathan.
Yeah, it was a fun day of drinking.
Oh man. All right. Trent, you're up, man.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, you're not alone. I got a Bone Snapper X-Ray rye.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Oh,
cool,
boy.
man.
So,
Very nice.
I like
going with
that.
that. And Travis, I have to add, well, Little League baseball, softball, whatever, has changed a lot over the years then, because I don't ever remember my coach being sober. So,
Many of you probably don't know this, but I'm also an elected official in my small town. I'm the park board president. So I think that it probably goes doubly for me that I shouldn't show up drunk. Although, as president, I could show up and I could set the tone for the rest of the league.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you could. Nice. All right. So this is our tech and tell. We're going to let it all hang out. Who's dying to go first?
I don't care.
See, Ty.
I was going to say Travis. Yeah.
Like I said early on, I think mine seems simple, and it's been out there for a while. I've just started to dabble with it, and the whole point of this episode was to just talk about what we're finding cool. And for me, it's been digging into the Office 365 Power Platform, most specifically the flows, and now the desktop flows. Traditionally, obviously in the construction industry, we deal with a lot of flat files and pushing information around, and we're all members of the CPC here, and we're all banging that drum to get open APIs and open access between systems, but sadly it's just not there. And honestly, I don't know if it'll get to the point where we're ever really pushing those flat files that we're still going to require back and forth. So I haven't gotten far with it, but I'm really digging on the desktop flow creator. It's almost like a macro / dynamo for Windows or for your web browser. Sorry, someone's coming to my office. So yeah, that's what I've been really kind of geeking out about, and in understanding the way that we're all Office 365 platform now. So getting those triggers from SharePoint or the storage or anything like that, and really trying to reduce some of those manual processes of people still downloading PDFs and rejiggering them, uploading them, because I think that there's a whole lot more value that our people can add if they're not kind of doing those. And I'm really looking, I don't know if the Power Platform, if the Microsoft platform will be the end all be all. I've obviously started to get in, like Python does a bunch of it. I think there's another platform with Selenium and Python. So I may have to graduate at a certain point to get beyond what Microsoft's handholding can get me. I will say, as a former developer, I get a little frustrated because I've developed some of the Power apps, and when I want to like double click on a button to write code in it, it doesn't do that. Like I can't do the things that I want to do, which it makes sense because it's more for people without those particular skills. So I maybe I need something that's a little bit more of a step up.
So a developer's complaining about UI or the G, like
I can't do what I wanted to do.
Well, there's a good question coming in from there. Travis, have you compared it to Zapier at all?
I have. Now, the nice thing I would say about the Power Platform versus Zapier's, well, one, it's definitely more tightly integrated in the Microsoft systems, but I'm really more interested in, they used to call it the UI flow, but now it's the desktop flows. And that's really more, if you've done programming in the past, it's more of like screen scraping of a website and finding the button or the text box and entering text into it, versus Zapier is, it is triggers, but they're really relying on APIs and data flows. But It's really cool. I mean, I'm really digging into like I said, the recordings and trying to figure out the hard part now is some of the stuff that I want to interact with is in the web browser. And a lot of times when I'm playing around with the record, it's like recording a macro, right? You remember recording macros in Excel or whatever. It's like you record it, it does all the actions, but now I've got, div this, TD this. I don't really get login button, which is what I'm trying to really look for. But I'm really hoping that I think there's a lot of power there, and I think that robots for me are a theme in my role here, and I think that we can't stick with just what like Trent's got teasing behind him right now. I think we can't. I think there's going to be some software robots that we're going to be able to use.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Didn't they buy UiPath? Isn't that what they bought? And then
I think that because they used to call it UI Flows, and then they rebranded again as Desktop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they bought UiPath. We used to use that back in the day between that and Selenium when we were, doing QA. So,
Right.
we used to release our software and then, try to record the stuff and then run it through it to try and test it out.
Yeah.
Great flow because it works, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm trying to just take some of that redundant heavy lift off of people's tasks. If they can drop a file in a certain folder on a cloud drive, and all of a sudden it just wakes up a web browser and puts it wherever the heck we want, versus all the uploads and downloads and rejiggering.
Yeah, and nobody ever puts anything in the wrong place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, not to them. But,
Right. Well, no. Why is this message in the estimate folder? It's an RFI.
Well, I mean, that's the perfect use case that kind of got me going down this road. And we were talking earlier, we've got great friends at Dado, but we still get stuck in platforms that don't have that kind of opening. So that's where it really led me down this path is, let's stop having people put it in their 4 different network locations. Let's stop trying to figure out, is it at this level or this level? Just put it in the one spot, and let's let some sort of automation take it to all the places that it needs to go.
Trent and Travis, and maybe even you, Jeff, like, have you guys ever had that extra computer off to the side? That's all its entire job is, to do all these micro automation workflows that you've made because somebody gave that as work. Yeah,
Right.
Dude, I will tell you that I always had at least one backup computer, and now I have 2 that are running all of these little things that are in the background of my business that I don't want to deal with. And I just automate it. And, what was really weird is I remember when I was at Spader, somebody walked up and they said, "How do you get all that stuff done?" And I said, "I don't do any of that. All that stuff that you talk about, if I have to do it 12 times, I find some way." I even had a program, and I just used it recently to keep a token open, where it just records your mouse clicks and your movements on the screen, and you can just replay it. That's all it did. But that's all you need to automate a bunch of boring crap that you don't want to do again.
Exactly.
And we automate all this stuff, but we don't think, anything you do more than 10 times, it's like, okay, let's just automate this, because I can't stand to do this 12 times.
Have you guys seen the product called the Stream Deck? Have you seen that thing?
I haven't seen
The little keyboard, and every key is a screen, and you can program images or GIFs into the buttons, and then you give every button a function. Have you seen the? Travis talked about macros for his thing, and it kind of reminded me. We've been toying around with it at North a little bit, and Derek Westfall, the BIM manager that works with me at North, he has one at his computer, and it's programmed all kinds of macros at these buttons that he has. So like, his username and passwords are buttons. There's no more entering anything. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff. Like, it kind of reminds me of, and that's a very low level programmer approach, right? But it's, but yeah, you can program multiple key or mouse strokes into a button click.
Do you guys remember the digitizers? Because when I started drafting, I had a 12 by 12 digitizer on my desk, and I could set that to anything. I could put macros on it, extra buttons on it. I had this puck with like 4 buttons. And the first time I went to I was an engineer, okay, in land development and all that stuff. First time I go to a contractor, he's using Quick Pen's Takeoff, and
Yep.
it's just a beep beep on the huge tablet, and I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, you have a tablet? That's your entire. And I was like, that's incredible. And
Our
I'll tell you,
estimating department still uses that for
Yep.
auto bid.
oh yeah,
Yep.
dude, it's
Quick pen,
beautiful.
Mm.
Oh, you had to pry that 12-inch tablet away from me with a crowbar
It's
because
just so
I had it
fast.
set up to do everything. Yeah.
It's just so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, in the estimating world, speed is king, man,
For sure.
because you're not paid to do it. It's I mean, you know what your hit rate is, and it's all about banging out as many as possible.
It's all about bid volume, right?
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat to a similar thing that we've bought just for some of our VDC people to what you were talking about, Trent. It's from Razer. It's a gamer's
Gamer
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I was gonna.
keyboard.
You guys are making me laugh because of all that. Like the one thing my kid picked up was there was some game where you had to like click this thing to get these cookies or something, and you get a certain amount of cookies and you buy things. So he did that. He figured out how to get a mouse recording to just go. And I walked in and he's like, just don't touch it. I was like, oh, what are you doing? And he showed me. I'm like, that's automation. Like that.
So that's essentially what we were doing with that Stream Deck. It's kind of funny. Like, Derek he has the thing sitting there, and there's multiple Revit functions and different things that he has programmed to. So, I mean,
that's cool.
It seems really nerdy and stupid, but it's incredibly productive at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
We seem pretty nerdy and stupid.
That's true.
So that's all right. Like it's part of us, right? So
yeah. So you struck a good topic, Travis.
yeah.
Macros, man. Anything macros. Like
anything you can do to reduce those repetitive tasks, like Jonathan was saying. You know, I was going to point out that Trent has several computers sitting around, but they're just for mining digital currencies. That's all he's doing with it.
My brother used
been a
to
rough
play
couple weeks.
Yeah.
My brother used to play some video game where you had to build up like currency, and he would have it set up to just sit there and build currency throughout the evenings so he could sit back down. And I thought it was crazy, but like the tech that he was using to do it is very similar to what we use to, we deal with our repetitive tasks also.
There's a lot to learn from those people. Yeah. I mean, don't write the little gamer nerd off as some, I mean, obviously we don't, but I'm talking to, I mean, yeah, it's all about finding ways to accomplish the same end result with as little effort as possible.
Well, sometimes I was going to elaborate on the effort. When I was doing software development, sometimes you would be amazed the amount of effort a programmer would go through to make sure he never had to write the same function twice.
Yep.
Like, your point, Jonathan, like 10 times, maybe that's where I should. No, if I had to write the same function twice, I would go through the same process twice. I could spend 4 days on something that probably would have taken me 15 minutes if I just did it myself. But I'm like, no, I've already done this before. I'm not going to do this again.
Yep. If you have to do it more than once, automate it.
That's right.
So who's next?
Well, we were talking about gamers. I'll go next because I have a gamer adjacent one. And we're going to start with this one. This is the original Oculus developer kit.
Whoa.
Cost $200. Came with little plastic eyeballs on it. There were no games. There were no software. You're basically Unity could export to it. And that's why I got it. I was at an AU one year, dude's up there and he's showing me virtual reality walkthroughs of buildings. And he's got this little book he's published for $24. I picked up that book and it was how to use Unity to get your model from Revit, AutoCAD, or Navisworks into Unity so you could throw it in VR. And that was my first experience of Unity, but also kind of I've been in love with VR since the day I found out about it, since like the little single line video games that you played that were really like, it's like one game you pay for the headset and it only plays one game. I've always loved it. So when they came out with the developer kit, I literally grabbed money out of my own pocket. I'm like, I'm buying one and I'm figuring out how to use it. And I used it with 3 clients and couldn't get a client to put on the damn thing. Like I had it set up, could not get a client to put it on. So I kind of backed off. I used it with my kids. They have, if you've ever seen like Minecraft has a virtual reality or Riftcraft, something like that, that ran on it. So my kids just went nuts with that. And then I also had the the Harry Potter's castle experience. And so like when the kids would all come around, I'd let them go through Harry Potter's castle. But that has graduated to this, which is actually useful now. Like this is, I'd say we're one step away from just my perfect setup, but I probably spend 3 hours a week in VR. Easy. Between playing fitness apps and everything else, you don't need to set up play spaces anymore. In that sort of immersive environment, I don't understand. And I will never understand why people don't go into it more often. The first time we put a foreman in an HTC Vive and put him in a mechanical room, he found things wrong instantly. It was like right out of the box. It's like, boom, done. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. When I put it on, we were sending out these skids to Georgia, and I was walking around the skids and I was like, dude, in my mind, these skids are way smaller than they are. They're like when you actually experience them, you realize all of the damn valves are like way up here, and these things are going to be massive in our fab shop. And, so while I love AR, and I think AR is the answer for so many things, including the thing behind Trent, which I got to say, I still looked for AR to solve that problem versus robots. But the VR, I just think it's my baby, man. I love it more than almost any other environment. But earlier today, I had my screens up inside my virtual desktop, and I have 2 big screens here, but in virtual, I think I have 10 screens going at once, and I can modify the size and I can change the location. And I actually, you're going to laugh because I'm such a bad typist. I flip up the bottom of my headset so I can see my keyboard, so that I don't have to look at the virtual keyboard. I can see my real one. And I love it, man. It's like, you're always looking for a little more space to put your programs up. Virtual desktop, you have like all the space in the world and it's all around you. So, it is definitely my biggest toy. And I still think, as we get to make it faster and faster and faster, I think the immersives still have a real big place. Even though we have augmented, in immersive, you can block out the rest of reality and be in there. So it's definitely my toy for at least right now. And again, I spend like hours in the damn thing. And once you get used to it, then you don't get sick. You're kind of used to how everything works. It starts to become just a part of your day. So instead of taking all your monitors with you, when you go somewhere, you can take your laptop and your headset, and you have all the monitors you would ever want, and I dig it.
That virtual desktop, is that inside of the Quest then? The Quest
2?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Quest 2 has a virtual desktop. Almost anything out there does, if you look around. Like there's always, if you have like a Steam, which is the really nice one, man, you can always find something that will do like a virtual desktop experience where you can have a bunch of screens. This is the first time though that the screens are like really readable. Like if you're in there on virtual desktop, you can read all your screens. They're just going to get better. They're just going to get better. So it is where I've been geeking out for for a lot of years now.
I feel like we got a window into your mind that's a little creepy. Like 10 screens. I'm like, yep, that's Jonathan's mind. And dude, I have a personal connection to this because you're the one who introduced me to that's the Quest 2 that you held up, right?
Yeah.
You introduced it to me with my kid sitting back in the background. He went and worked his butt off and bought one, and he would spend 6 hours a day in it if you let him. He's probably
proud father. Look at that.
I have a limit on him, but that kid plays everything in it. And I remember, it's funny. I remember that same thing, Jonathan. I put this guy JC Slocum in VR of a project that we did down in Denver, and he just to experience it. He goes, damn, if I had seen that entryway, I would have known we were going to have that problem. And I was like, that wasn't even the point of putting him in there.
Yeah,
put a dollar sign on that discovery right there.
Yeah, and you paid for it. It's paid for.
Well, I was gonna say because we have Quests, we have HoloLenses, and we use them, but not nearly as much as I think we should. I think that they should be in every job trailer, used every day. We're getting closer to that. But to your point, Jonathan, I don't know why they're not used more. Every time somebody puts that either one of the headsets on, we make money. or
Mhm.
we save money. I guess so it's not actually making money, but we save money. And I don't understand where the disconnect is there.
I'm exactly with you. And I think you said
Yeah.
it right. It's if you get someone to put it on, everybody gets worried about that. What I love about the new one is, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's pass through. So you leave it on pass through and you can
Yes.
see everything going on around you through the cameras. And then, you know, like I was sitting there eating some chocolate. My wife's like, how do you know where the chocolate is? And I say, I'm like, it's magic. It's magic.
It's
And I
magic
just
chocolate.
know how this all works. But
Have you
But I
seen
mean,
my
that was
sniffer? I
huge.
can smell it.
yeah. And when I do the virtual desktop, I have the pass through on so I can see my office and anyone in it.
Yeah.
But I also see these giant screens up everywhere. And Jeff, you're gonna laugh your butt off. Tilt Brush, which is like a $19 program that allows you to draw in virtual. Most of the stuff that I design in my blacksmith shop, if it's big enough, I've designed in Tilt Brush ahead of time.
Yep.
Because
Oh.
you could take it in Tilt Brush and you can go ahead and export it as an OBJ and get a little dorky here. And then you can flatten it out to make
Mhm.
sure that you get all the curves right. Because dude, getting curves right the first time in your forge on a long piece is a pain in the butt without, you know, having that design work done. And the best place to do it 100% is in Tilt Brush. You can
I
put
love
in
it.
spheres
That's
there and all
awesome.
of these other things and just design right on the spheres.
So here's
That
the
is
guy who's
so cool.
still using OBJs. Look at that. All the take note, Autodesk. The meshes are not dead. They're not dead. Go. Come on.
OBJ gangsta.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would say also, I sent it to, so I had an employee that I knew was going to be stuck in his house for COVID, and I sent it to him so that he could shadow box with it, because its shadow boxing program is a pretty decent cardio, and you forget that you're in there doing something. I mean, it's not quite as good. What's the other one? Beat Saber. People can play Beat Saber for like 9 hours before they realize that they're completely out of breath and going to be really sore tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I've been sending them around to people. I think they're going to be, I think the next version, which I keep seeing bits and starts, is going to be that one step closer. And then that next version we got, you know, we can go into the Oasis and all of that, which will be way fun. You know,
If you don't know
everybody
the
needs to go
Oasis,
to the Oasis.
reference, if you don't know the Oasis reference, go watch Ready Player One. If you have not
If you
seen
don't know
Ready
the
Player
Oasis
One.
reference, you're a Sixer, you know?
Oh, that's
I
funny.
thought he was gonna say. I'll go ahead. We're gonna mark explicit, right?
We're fine.
Then just get the fuck out of here.
You should just go home. You know, if you have, honestly though, I got called out on that. I had never seen it. Unless it was a long time ago when James was in love with it. And I was like, I was caught out like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, I think you need to leave the show. I'm sorry.
Nice.
My kid loves that. And he's with you, man, totally into it. And the pass through is really cool. It makes it a very different environment to work in and use. I think that gets over some of the troublesome things too, that, you know, people walking into walls. But I got one for you. Has anybody seen anybody go wrong in one of those though? Oh man, I had this guy at my marble shop, and I put him in it, and I was just putting all the people through like the intro to the old Oculus Rift. Remember that, where it had like the dinosaur that ran at you, and then you were up on a platform at heights. I had no idea he had an extreme fear of heights. He literally shut down and collapsed when it transported him onto it. And I didn't know what to do. I like caught him and held him. All I had to do was take the damn goggles off and I didn't. I let him sit through it and like turn white and pass out.
You're sick, dude.
Yeah, nice.
If you didn't know that beforehand, yeah, just a little. But yeah, that was like, so if you are listening and you're going to go put people in it, some things you got to ask are, how do you feel about heights? Because we're going to transport you somewhere, especially if you're doing like, you know, I did a lot of work with Iris back in the day. I haven't looked to see what they're up to, but Iris VR was a lot of fun. But it had
Still
like
there.
it had a transport mode where you transport yourself. That got a little creepy at times. Like, you're like, whoa, okay, I just went there.
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean-
one of the things we talked about when early on was that they were talking, this is the way you're going to do coordination forever, and our VDC guys are like, yeah, I'm not going to spend 8 hours a day in VR. And that was the major complaint, is the transport. Like, if I can control where I'm going and I can look around on my own, that's fine. But when you get shoved somewhere else, that's where people would start to freak out.
Yeah. Well, that was the old Brett. Wasn't Brett trying to, you could like fly your piping? Like, that was his idea. Like, it was so cool. I remember he had like a shark with a laser on its head.
Yeah.
And it was running the pipe for him.
Of course he did.
Of course he did, right? That was his like idea. Like, he was so far out there with some of this. It was so cool though. But yeah, I saw that 1 minute and I was like, there's no way somebody's going to draw a pipe like that all day long. They're going to lose their lunch first and foremost. And
it'll happen one day. It's going to happen.
I was going to say, I think there's an evolution there, man, because the more hours you spend in it, the less you get sick. Like, I remember the first time I put people in it, I put them on roller coasters and we just watch them turn white. Like, they get first couple turns, they'd be fine. And then you'd watch the color start to drain from their faces. Like, I'm going to go grab this before you throw up. I literally had a trash can right there. Like, someone's going to throw up, but
that doesn't mean the product is at fault though. It's a familiarization thing. I mean, Travis, you can speak to it. Our military days, I remember doing like the training ops with night vision goggles. There were people immediately who put night vision goggles on, got vertigo and puked. I mean, there was a certain percentage of people that it happened to. Doesn't mean that product went away. You trained the user to be familiar with it. So
I want this recorded here though. Jonathan, I will bet you a bottle of your favorite scotch to a bottle of my favorite whiskey that we will never get there with piping, because I believe that generative design will beat us to it. That's the only reason I don't think we'll get to the point where we're flying and drawing that way, because I think generative design is going to beat us to it.
I might take you up on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say AR versus VR for the pipe design sometimes. I don't know if I'm right there. But I feel like, honestly, the HoloLens needs to have a blast shield that comes down to take you into VR. I'm not kidding, man. Like, it wouldn't be that hard.
I know you're not. That's why I'm laughing.
But like if you had the HoloLens and you wanted to go full VR, you could pull down the blast shield, blacks off the back, gives you some extra pixels, and now you're in VR. And it's that cool little changeover. But I love computative design. I love contemplative design.
I like that kind too.
No, but that's a good dram there. No, but I love computative design. I do think that it might get there faster than the VR. I think I don't know, man. I'm not taking the bet. I didn't say I'm going to take the bet right away for sure.
I don't know.
Trent's still on the fence.
Well, I'm a gambler, so I might take you on it just for that. But it's an interesting. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, somebody's going to win.
Somebody has to, right? And yeah, that's just my bet.
I want to show you guys one more thing, and this is the honorable mention, and I won't talk about it. But have you guys used one of these with the app on your iPhone or iPad?
No.
The Disc2s? Okay. Like a Disc2, about $125. Okay. The app on your iPad allows you to trace out with your finger, and then you pick a line and you shoot the distance, and it scales that line and fills out the distances. And I can do a room. Like, I measure a lot of shit. And it's always surprised me that people don't have this thing.
Huh.
And dude, if you put it on a little stick and move it back and forth underneath the pipe, it gives you the longest and shortest measurement. So instead of trying to get your laser to the bottom of that pipe, you just move it back and forth and it will tell you the shortest measurements. That's the actual bottom of your pipe. And it's like, I went through a building with somebody and they were using a tape and I was using this. I'm like, come on, man. You don't have a scanner, and that's cool. That's pretty bad, but $120, dude.
ESPN.
A good tape measures 30. I mean,
oh yeah.
So
ESPN's going to be after us, like, for the come on, man.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah, that was my honorable mention. I have to fit it in because people need to start using those. They've been out forever and they work so well now.
And it's easy.
Yeah, the Bluetooth connects to your phone in one button. You hit it, it always says connect. I actually want them to work on a set of headphones that works that well, you know?
Dude, that's awesome. So I believe like Jordan Lawver's out there from Trimble right now, the XR10 team. Like, okay, how do we make a blast shield that goes on the XR10 that fulfills this? That's right. You heard it here on the Dorks First. Feel free to steal it. We just want to use it.
Yeah.
So when you
They're
They
not
just
yet,
want
but-
it. Yep.
But
Bring
you're
it
not
to
allowed to
us.
call it a blast shield without royalties. So.
That's true.
Patent
A
pending,
shield.
trademarked.
Yeah, a shield of something. I don't know what you'd call it. You know.
Oh,
So-
when they do give me that hard hat though, that looks that way, I'm putting the Star Wars insignias on the
Oh, for
side
sure.
instantly.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
why
I felt
wouldn't
that
you?
way with the
Yeah.
XR10. I just didn't do it.
I wanted to put.
There should be a Rogue Squadron edition,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
The Rogue Squadron edition. Oh man, how to catch a dork at the job site.
right.
Then
And
we'll-
dumbasses like me who sign the purchase orders for their companies would buy your Rogue Squadron edition.
Would buy it,
Exactly.
And SmartVid will pick it up. Like,
Yeah.
look, we found a dork on your job site right here. How'd you know? Rogue Squadron. That's awesome. That is so cool. All right, we gotta move on. Trent, you want to? I think you're giving it away behind you there, and I'm stoked if you are.
Let's talk robotics, right? I mean, Jonathan brought up a point where a lot of what he's talking about probably might erase some of this at some point, but the talking point I wanted to approach was this is a Dusty Robotics behind me, by the way. So, and I've watched some videos, seen what they're doing, and it's pretty damn cool, guys. I mean, we do a lot of talks about DFMA and what the MEPs are doing to try to fabricate more efficiently and more accurately. I mean, I think we're all missing the end result here, because pre-construction wise, we've got it down. I mean, some of us, right? But on the BIM projects, the architects are drawing the building, the structural guys are drawing the building. We have the model, and the MEPs are coordinating within that model. And at the end of the day, that building is modeled. But when you hit the job site for construction, who are the majority of the crews that are actually using precision instruments to put that coordinated model into reality? So I know a lot of us mechanicals, and we do most of the electrical duct work, and us being piping that I work with, we're good about using at North, we're a Trimble total station shop, and we use them for everything we do. Laser scanning, we use the Trimble X7, which by the way is a fucking fantastic scanner. But
Yeah, that's a hardcore.
so we're using all that stuff, but then where does the ball get dropped on these projects, guys? It's like you'll have a carpenter out there who's pulling a tape measure off of a column with fireproofing on it. It's like, so, and then you wonder why this design that you spent months and or years on didn't work. It's like, I'm just waiting for a GC or a CM or somebody to step up and require this, or at least give an option for all the trades to have this technology to make this stuff that we're spending all this time on work. And this thing behind me is kind of an option for that. It'll trace out that wall track on the ground for the carpenters. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to stop with the MEP. It has to be the entire construction process on board with what we're doing. And I can't tell you how many times we've laid out our cores and walls, and then the wall guy comes in and snaps his chalk lines, and our core is out of the wall, right? And we've all been there, we've seen it. And then you get into that fight where who's right, who's wrong. It's like, well, I used a $40,000 precision instrument to do mine, and you used a $30 tape measure, so I'm probably going to say I'm right. But if we put both sides on that same spectrum, even if they don't line up now we have a proving ground. It's like, well, maybe we really do have an issue here. So that's the conversation I want to spark with it.
Super cool. I had a chance to follow Tessa Lau actually followed me. I got a chance to speak with her at Autodesk during a robotics talk with a few of these, scaled robotics, Dusty Robotics. And like Scaled Robotics and the others I got, like they were doing laser scanning and there were robots rolling around it. And Tessa blew my mind when she was like, no, we're like reversing the model. And it took me so long to figure it out, like what she was saying, but we're doing all this work. You're right, Trent. Like we're doing all this high level work. We're really, making fabricatable coordination models, constructible. They're great. And then we go out in the field and we just fuck it up. And the robot is taking the model to the job site is what the Dusty robot does. And it's multi-trade, which keeps us all, some people in construction, I think, probably like to fight one another, but I think majority don't.
I think we're forced to. We're forced to fight.
Yeah.
Because it's dollars.
It's not like you like it. Yeah. So this gets rid of that. It's like, okay, who's right? The robot. Because the robot's got no skin in the game. The robot's just a robot. They do what they're told. And the Dusty robot's one of the robots that really blew my mind. It took me a long time to really kind of get my head around. It's so cool.
It's cool as shit, guys. I don't think it's the end all be all. I think that, tracing on the floor, that's probably not where we'll be 50 years from now. I hope not, but it's something that we can do right now. And
I think it speaks to,
we're not doing it.
It speaks to what the progression of robotics is going to be. I would say that, we have the Hilti robot, right? The Hilti robot does some really cool stuff, but everybody is in this mindset, and we've talked about it, and I've heard it talked about ad nauseum, like everybody assumes it's going to be some sort of humanoid robot that does some sort of, has an articulating arm. And a robot, it could just be a simple thing that paints stuff on the floor or sweeps the floor. Or I was at a Built Worlds conference a couple of years ago, and they had a robotics section, and they basically had like a robotic caddy. It just went out and fetched your material and something. That is the kind of robotics that we're really going to, we're going to see. Trent, to your point, we're going to see, that 50 years from now, maybe we will have the humanoid robot that does it all.
Yeah, who knows?
Right now, we're going to have these little robots that do a very defined task, and kind of like what I was talking about with the repetitive tasks. It's going to take all that information, take all the guesswork out, all the grunt work out, and do that task really well.
Yeah, I agree completely. Right now we're at a space where we're not talking about replacing workers, right? We're augmenting. Like this is one of those. That carpenter, or I use carpenter as an example just because it weighs in my head the issues that we see. But and they don't all do it. It just seems to happen more frequently than not. But it's not taking their job. It's augmenting. If we could provide them with the layout, I don't think they would even complain about it. I think it's honestly, I've been on that side of it, and most of the change orders that come along from the differentiations from what they're putting on the floor to what we've marked for our mechanical systems, we win that change order because we're using the precision instruments. But the problem is there's still a delay to the project, and there's a hit to that trade. So why not move past that? It's not like I'm even getting hit for money a lot of times, but it's detrimental to the owner. It's detrimental to the actual build.
Yeah. The first job they this was a long time ago. So this is 11 years ago. It was the first job they gave me a Trimble to do layout on. And it was the first job where we snapped all the underground ahead of time, and my pipe's coming up through the wall, and I'm in a coordination meeting with my computer, talking to the architect, the engineer, and other contractors. And my foreman supervisor comes in, big smile on his face, huge smile on his face. He says, I just went over, they're laying down the tracks, none of your pipes in the wall. And I was like, no way. Not possible. So I grabbed my computer and I literally ran across the campus with my computer, and the supervisor was laughing at me because I took my laptop because I wanted to see some measurements, and I didn't have an iPad because they didn't have iPads 11 years ago in general. They might have, but I didn't have one. And I got there and I measured it out, and I'm like, nope, I'm right. You're wrong. And the guy's like, well, I'm not, we already have the studs down for that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's an ADA bathroom. I said, you know, it's an ADA bathroom. You can't just shove it over 3 inches. It's not going to work. And so anyways, he starts pulling it all up, and my supervisor's standing there wide-eyed going, this is the first time I've ever seen somebody pull up studs to move them to where our pipe is. Because that's not how that works. How that works is they put it down, they lay down the track, and you move your pipe to where the track is.
Mhm.
And it sold them that day. It sold everybody in my company, basically, because he talked about it for the next 2 weeks, how they lifted up their track and moved it.
All right.
But on the job site automation, I think you need to watch the pivotal movie on the subject, which was Runaway with Tom Selleck, okay, from 1984. And it has Gene Simmons in it as the evil guy. So look it up, Runaway from 1984. Dude, it has job site robots that literally are doing a lot of the stuff that our current robots do. And they even look a little like the Dusty Robotics robots, and they're going crazy and killing people and all these things. But watch it, because I hadn't seen it in years, and it came up as a Riff Tracks, and I'm like, oh, I'm watching that. And I was like, my God, half of these robots I either want or exist now. You know, so cool. 1984, man, Tom Selleck and Runaway. You get a little Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Sounds like a Dork's movie night.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Dork movie night.
We should do like a mystery science theater thing. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh my.
Like a Riff Tracks, a Dork Riff Tracks, man.
Dork Riff Track. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
That'd be kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah, I don't think the Dusty Robot's going to kill people though. So I just want to put that out there.
It's gonna stub some toes.
The worst you're gonna get, a stub toe with it. Oh.
The other thing I'd say about the robot though is, like, my primary problem with all of those ones, including the Hilti one, was the clean job site floor that doesn't exist because of wet and water and everything. And then I thought about that more and more, and I used to think I'm never going to get the deck long enough to put in my embeds, and that's changed. So I do think that, like, robots like the ones from Dusty and the Hilti one will not only change the way we install, but I think they'll change the way we look at our job sites. Like, in order to get that automation, you have to have a clean, you have to have a clean floor. You have to have the slab down. So, and I didn't think we'd have time on the deck, but now, I mean, now they give you time to go out and put your points in. Not enough usually, but you know, some time is given.
So the embeds are going to happen before that though, right? I mean, that's so, I mean, embeds won't be the problem. I think we're just looking at once that form is complete and that floor is in, now let's actually build these rooms out the way we actually drew them to be built out, because it never happens. I mean,
oh no.
To Sal's point, let's show them how this BIM shit works, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Sal, you're the one, man. You're the one out there with on that level that let's hold every trade accountable, right? Absolutely. All of them.
That's why Sal made the jump, to hold them all accountable, man. Don't tell me that BIM shit can't be done. It can be done.
It can be done. Yes.
And it should be done. Let's be honest with that one. It really should be done. All right.
Sure.
I'm going to pivot us. That's
all right.
Hey, Trent, that was awesome. I mean, I hate following this right now, being the nerd that's on the other side of the thing. I'm going to go back kind of more towards where Travis started us all. And my hot topic has really been, you know, as everybody knows, I moved over to Join, and I'm their head of communications, which really means I'm also in charge of marketing. Startup life, you do a couple of different things at once, which I actually love. And, you know, my IT background, building foundational technology that fits and kind of does what we need it to do. It was really interesting. I was on earlier with Dado talking a lot about this, and that was my passion. Was I got to build out our HubSpot here at Join, to really handle our sales and our marketing process. But what I thought was cool, and what I think is interesting, and I'm going to pivot it here in a second, but was a single source of data, right? A place to hold data and then automate things that we hate to do. Like, everybody listening, you know, you have signed up for at least one webinar in the pandemic, or, well, you're not listening. So, you know, you got a message from that. Well, then we want to send you an email. Here's the recording of that, because you signed up for 9 of them at the same time, and you were never going to go to any of them anyway. And you just want the recording so you can see the part you wanted to see. Well, all of that is an absolute pain in the ass to do, to get you registered and then get you the link and then remember to send you the email. So I created these playbooks and automations through HubSpot that do all of that for me. So I clone a landing page, I start a new webinar, I make the form calls Zoom, registers you for Zoom, tells me in HubSpot that you did that. And then when I'm done, the automation triggers to send you an email to the list of people that signed up, and here it is, and here's what you get, and whether you showed up or not. So I've had a whole bunch of fun with that. And there's some, do I want to call it creepy? Yeah. Everybody's kind of getting used to being tracked a little bit, but there are some really interesting things that if used correctly, you can figure out kind of where people are on their journey with your company, whether they're reading your articles or following what you want or interested in what you have, so that you're not just like knocking on every door and going like, you interested? You interested? You interested? It's annoying for everybody, right? Like you don't want to. So HubSpot's been super fun for me to build up as a foundational tool and then start to watch it become a machine and start to grow and add people in, and the more and more things we can do with it that are just so much fun to do with it. It has been cool. And I was like, so I get to talk to a lot of different people. So that's where my current one is. I'll stop there for a second and see if we got anything that you want to ask or talk about.
I have used HubSpot off and on throughout the last 3 years. I got to say, and this sounds like low hanging fruit, but for me, it really wasn't. I get a million cards when I go to a show, and I was sitting beside somebody on a plane, and I was going click, 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 click. I was just running through them real quick, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh yeah, you can download this HubSpot app, and it's free for like individual users, and it will ingest your cards along with their numbers, names, and everything else for you." And the guy next to me was like, "Okay, how do I get that? Because that is the most tedious part of keeping track of people, is doing all that stuff." And I think that's one of the things that HubSpot, and this is just one of the, and I've used it in other aspects, it does a really good job of not only keeping track of the data, but getting it. Actually, ingestion, it's really, they built some decent tools for that. So I kind of dig them on that. I have to admit, though, it's one of those ones where it's a deep dive to get into that and to really understand what's going on. And it seems like it shouldn't be, but it's a big deep dive.
It's a super deep dive. I had to go in and really build the platform. It took us, well, it took us the better part of 2 months to build it pretty much full time. That's all we were doing, was building building the things that worked, and really, starting to take a look at what were we going to do with it. And in fact, we're about to go through a second redefine of it. That's the crazy part about this, is we've only had it 6 months and we're already going to redefine it again, because we've reached a point where, okay, now we need to do more with it, because we know it can give us more information than we thought it could before. It can tell us where things originated. It can tell you who's looking at what, how long they're looking at it. It can also start to create health for your company, depending on how you're using it. So yeah, it was a deep dive. But it's also about reusing things, right? Like how you talked about this, Travis, about moving this document and doing it for it. How many of you in any sales or in any role talking to your company did you send out something that you didn't send out the most recent one? It was like, it had the old logo on it, or the wrong copyright, or, oh crap, that didn't look that way. Well, in HubSpot, you can automate, and it's got a documents center that people can have a link to. It's literally in your Google plugin. Or Outlook, if you're using it, you can click HubSpot documents and literally see the HubSpot documents and attach it and send it off. And that in and of itself, you're not hunting and pecking. We have an approved collateral. Go to the approved collateral and send it off. And then, if you want to get a little crazy, then you can see, when you do it that way, then if somebody looks at it, you can see how long they look at it and where they click on it. And so you can, get better at what you're doing, or see if, hey, nobody reads this. don't send that to anybody anymore. It's a piece of shit. Stop. Like, you get feedback on your stuff, so you get better, right? It's a continuous improvement.
Jeff, you've described the same thing a number of times, where it's almost like when you sit down and start digging into some of these programs, you're creating a technology workforce that becomes your department. It's just not people. I mean, like I think when you have good IT, good technology understanding, you end up with like a division of labor that's underneath you. That's all technology. I mean, it's not necessarily robots, but it's all technology. And so when they come to this one point, it's like, I mean, there is a level at which, some of these, like the Dusky Robotics, feels like you're hiring somebody to do that job. But like just as much HubSpot, how many people did you replace by setting up a HubSpot infrastructure? Because traditionally that's, 5-10 people working all the time. And it takes way longer than 6 months to set up. And it costs way more, like one person's, what, 60 grand at the cheapest, and, just up until the roof. I feel like, like what you were able to do kind of is like, you get there, you're in a startup, you're not going to be able to hire people. You're going to hire software. You're going to get this done,
Yep. And that's what it was. We needed to found, and you're right. I think that is kind of funny. That is how I approach everything. I'm like, how can I make this do more for me so that I don't have to add people? That's right. But
a week.
But I will tell you a week. Yeah. But I will tell you this pivoted. So I was having this conversation with, and I'm going to self plug here. There's something coming out from Hugh Seaton and I, and a couple other people, but Document Crunch, Project Mark. It's me. It's join Project Mark and Document Crunch. And it's all about punching above your weight. It's about that approach, Jonathan, that I have, and I think others have, to doing more with less, from the perspective of making it easier, right? It's all about, facilitating people. That's what my why is, to facilitate people to reach their true potential and do the most with what they can. And, I actually have Project Mark, and I want to show you guys it. It is, us, we've seen everything, right? Well, Project Mark is that for construction. I've heard so many companies come and tell me they are the LinkedIn for construction, right? And yet another one comes and says it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just don't. LinkedIn for LinkedIn is kind of it, right? And the guys at Tom Dean and Noel started talking to me about it. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. So I'm going to show you guys this. And if you're not watching, I apologize, but I'll try to do my best to describe this thing, because I have to show it, because I'm that much of a dork. So you're seeing my Project Mark screen. You guys seeing it now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I've logged into this company profile. This is a real company profile. By the way, Metcon, thank you for letting me do this. I can't believe you let me into your real site to do this. So we are literally live for real here. And this is a dashboard. And imagine, like, I put everything in document wise in HubSpot. You put all of your project experience, all your project data, all that stuff, because if you think about large contractors out there, they've got a big marketing team, like you said, Jonathan, but a small group, you don't have all that out there. So how do you do that? You build a platform that will do it for you. So by storing your information in here and by creating it, you can quickly click in and look at the projects they have. So look at all these cool projects. These tell the story of the projects, but only one person had to go in and do this, and everybody in the company can do it. Right. And see what you have. And then if you need to create an RFP for something, you can go to their reporting, create a report by walking through it. But this is where I got trippy. This is where, for me, I was like, oh man, you guys are, so you can click this, right? So this is creating a report, gives you your cover page. You pick from only company approved things. So this is like 4 clicks of company approved material, and you can dump out an RFP. Think about how long that takes people.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I have no vested interest in these guys. I just think it's cool as can be. And it matched up with my HubSpot. So you get to number, go ahead.
Can they show what subs were on that?
These are subs too. No. So subs create their own. Generals create their own. Everybody creates their own. And get this. So I create this, right? And now I publish it. And great, I can download the PDF, or I can Slack you guys or send you guys the microsite. Now, one of you has to open up a web browser for me, or all of you can, or anybody watching can. I'm going to send this to everybody. Go check it out. So I just created this. I just generated it in the background.
So on us piggybacking on that a little bit, and because I think Walker's still here.
Yeah.
So when I was at Spader, one of the things Spader did horribly was keep track of what they'd done in the past. But they did have a form that they filled out for like almost everything, and the form was standard. So when I first got the Link program, it wasn't even Dado yet. It was called Link. So before Dado, there was Link. Why I wanted it was I actually wanted to scan in all of their historics and do exactly what these guys are doing. I wanted to get some of that historic data in there, ingested and organized, so that I could go faster in presenting what we've done in the past, how we've done it, and all of that. And I thought, you know what? You need a way to be able to take all the forms that these companies that are on paper have and turn it into data that we can then sort of eat through. And they're just like, I was messing around with Dado, doing the things you're not supposed to do with it. And they have these templates that you can create now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we could actually do that now. We could actually go back and throw, our historic data and start building some of what you need. Because in order for this to work, right, you have to have the historic data. And the problem is, go back 5 years in construction, unfortunately, and a lot of people don't have a lot digitized. To go back 2 years with some construction companies, they don't have a lot digitized. So
or they don't have it centralized. They don't have a playbook. To Jeff's point. They don't build out these playbooks. This CMS, the customer management stuff is something I've been thinking a lot about too. I don't think we do a very good job of building that out. We're still, it depends on the parts of the country you're in, but we're still very much wine and dine, get to know, take people out. There's nothing wrong with that, but it also has gotten to the point where as you get bigger and bigger and you add parts and divisions to your business, Trent, you guys do service too. I wonder how many times we've gone out and bid against ourselves on jobs just because we're not aggregating that data. And we don't know who's talking to who.
It's happened.
Check it out.
It's happened recently. You know what else would be really cool?
What would be cool?
The metric with this would be to track this kind of stuff for the public, to see what kind of differences there are between plan spec, design build, IPD. Let's do it. Let's document this stuff and let's make it transparent. And I want owners to see that in an IPD design build world where that project lines up versus plan spec.
That would be cool, man.
That would be cool.
I want to show you this though. I can see that Travis opened it, right? And what he spent time on, what he clicked on, how much time he was there, what he's been up to. And this is nice because you want to chase work that's hot, right? So if you've emailed this thing out to a bunch of people and they haven't looked at it, then don't chase them. Go chase the ones who are looking at your work. Like, you only have so much time in a day. You want to focus it on what the hell it is you need to focus it on. That's what these guys do. And then I always love that, like, building a website, such a pain in the ass if you haven't built one, and keeping it up to date is a pain in the ass. So this allows all of that. And then you were talking about it, Jonathan, about or Trent, I think about like going places. Now they have this heat map of all these trade contractors, so I can just go up and be like, I want to pick an interior renovation and tenant improvement, or what sector do I want? I'm in commercial on this one. I can come over here and be like, I don't want general contractor. I want subcontractor. And I can go find all these subcontractors. And now I'm in a new space. Now I can find all these drywall contractors, and all of this rolls up. So then there's a Trent's, puts his profile in, and, I don't know where Trent's been before he comes to my company, but if Trent keeps his profile up and now I include him in my profile, I get all of his work experience. Because what are you doing when you do an RFP? You're showing the work you've done, the team that you're going to put on this and what they've done. That's a shit ton of work. Why not make it I'm geeked out about it.
No,
It's
it's
just like
perfect.
HubSpot. So that was my geek out. And thanks for letting me show it, guys. I mean, it was I knew I was like, I'm truly going to show and tell on the show this.
Yeah.
So, and if
I
you
think
are,
that's
if you were watching online, sorry, if
I
you
think
weren't
that's
watching,
where the future's going, right? I mean, you look at what Amazon has done to the world, right? I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before even general level contracting and fabrication and everything is bid out to the large population. I mean, that's where it's going to go. If you don't start documenting your analytical performance and what you've done, and somebody comes out there with a really good track record, and if the industry goes in that direction, I think you get left behind.
well,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Trent, to your point, like the other thing is like, I love competition, right? And there is no reason a small contractor, trade contractor, general contractor cannot compete with the big boys just by thinking through and adding some really good tech to what they do. They can, that's what we're calling the series. It's called Punching Above Your Weight. I mean, what Join allows you to do from a pre-construction visualization, what Document Crunch allows you to do from an AI and looking through your contract documents and all that legal language that you used to have a whole bunch of lawyers for. You don't have to have that anymore. You used to have a whole bunch of marketing people. You don't have to have that anymore. You used to have a whole team of people putting together, pre-construction and bidding and showing everybody this. But no, you don't need that anymore. You got the visualization. You got the technology that can make you way big, punch above your weight, and compete. And Trent, to your point, it's the ones that do it, but also deliver it differently, right? Deliver IPD style things, whether you're IPD or design build or whatever modern contract thing is next to get us all better. It's really fueled by the tech that we use underneath it and actually looking at it and applying it with a scale, right? That I don't need 100 people. I don't need a marketing person in every freaking office. I got this and I could build it and I could do more with it. So that was it. I think we're 1 hour in, guys.
Yeah,
Any last thoughts before we let people go?
I was just going to say that, a lot of the stuff, maybe Jonathan's VR stuff is aside, it's just nerdy, but Trent's used the phrase force multiplier before, and that's what we learned through the military. And that's what we're doing to our people here. Like, I think that to everybody's fear of we talk about mentioning getting rid of people. I don't think we're really getting rid of anybody. We're just allowing them to do more. And I love these tools that take away that mundane, repetitive, low value work and let people do what people are really good at and all the analysis.
You're right. It's always about, and James Benham gave me this advice really early on. Whenever you talk about robotics, automation, it's about augmenting people. People don't want to do, very few people want to do just repetitive tasks over and over again and not think. And people aren't actually really good at repetitive tasks without screwing it up, right? But they're really good at solving problems and they're really good at analyzing and making decisions. And that's what we need to be focused on, is making decisions and problem solving and analyzing and getting better. And without good tech to show you what you're doing, you're just going to make the same damn mistake over and over again. Was it you? It was you, Jonathan. We were doing a DFMA talk that said, the first time we build it is always the worst time we build it.
Yeah.
That has stuck with me with everything I do.
But every time we do it is the first time.
Right.
That's the problem.
So we suck every fucking time. That's horrible. And it's not a thing, by the way, to architects. Like, there's this idea too that like architects aren't needed or whatever. No, 90% of the building's pretty much going to be productized over time, but 10%, that's going to make a huge impact on the way the building feels.
Jonathan, you'll appreciate this. Never blame the architect. You don't blame you
don't blame
you don't blame the victim. You don't blame the victim.
Don't blame the victim. Oh,
thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Ouch.
I would say one thing in addition to that, like if you there's a psychological and there's a cultural impact to not having to do repetitive tasks as your job. It changes who you are. Like I've had some things where I've had to do repetitive tasks for weeks, and I was a miserable person to be around.
Mhm.
And I find that people that do repetitive menial tasks for their entire life, unless there's some big social exchange going on, unless there's a trade-off, this is not an awesomely happy life. Unless you pay him $1 million. That's the other thing. I will dig ditches all day for $1 million a year. You know, I mean, I will do that. But
I don't think the market's going to
there's
allow
always,
that. No.
yeah, there's always this trade-off. And I think that we underestimate that. Like when I automate spooling and take that away from a draftsman, he stops being a draftsman and starts being a coordinator. You know, and his
That's the
attitude
value.
changes and his brain changes, and like literally neurologically you change when you stop doing repetitive work every single day. Your brain works differently because the challenges you have each day are different. So I really view us as not only not getting rid of people's jobs, but making the jobs that we have that much better culturally and mentally and sort of, you know, I mean, now there are people that do need to do things in a structured way, but there's a huge difference between structure and repetitive.
Mhm.
Okay. The 3,000 spools that you need to put out for a job, if they have to be done by hand, those are some miserable people. If we could just need to deal with the edges of that, those are happier people. And I think, you know, technology takes a big hit for making our life less happy all the time, but there's a lot of reasons that technology is helping people stay happy.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I agree.
So stay happy.
Stay happy.
Hey, why not?
It's
And
a
Trent,
better
no
way to live.
capes.
No capes.
No capes.
Okay.
No capes.
No,
All
no
right.
capes.
No
The
capes.
foreman will tell you if you're having a good day.
Jeff, I have a list of EDC rules that start out with "it is what it is," adapt, and the next one is "you are not Batman." You are Robin.
You're lucky if you're Robin.
You're not Batman. On a good day, you're Robin. The foreman will tell you if you're having a good day.
I
The
will,
foreman will tell you if you're having a good day. You might
I'll do
be
one
Alfred.
better.
You'll
I'll
do
do
one
one
better?
better. On the Dorks blog, I'll post it. I'll put it up.
Oh, right on, man.
All right.
Right on.
Check
All
it
right.
out.
That's
Post
what we
the
call
rules.
a teaser.
Post
It's,
the rules.
It is read through it.
I want to see
it's
Trent's
hilarious.
rules to live by and Jonathan's rules to live by.
They're one and the same. They're one and the same.
You're never Batman. You're barely Robin. You're probably better off if you're just Alfred.
No, it's like it's like at best you're Robin.
At best. Your best day. You're a
Oh,
wingman.
Nice.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's episode 26. Tech and Tell. You showed us yours. We showed you ours. This has been an open and fun time. Gentlemen, I always love these, but they got to come to an end. It's too bad. Thanks for everything. And I'm going to leave it on. Was it Trent that said it? Just go be happy.
Go be
Yeah, why not?
Go be happy. Why not?
Hey.
It's a better way to do it. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.